Hey folks, welcome back to Stacey Can Can. I'm making a red onion marmalade today. So what you're going to need is 1.5 cups of thinly sliced red onion, and that's around a pound to a pound and a half of red onion, just as a wag. You're going to need 2 teaspoons of orange peel. You'll need 1/4 cup of light brown sugar, 6 tablespoons of pectin. They recommend ball pectin. This is a recipe from the Ball Blue Book of Canning, so that's what they recommend. 4 cups of sugar. You're going to need 3 cups of unsweetened apple juice, and 1/4 cup of finely chopped dried cranberries. So, and I'm going to whiz those in the food processor because I'm using that to slice up the onions. And then, let's see, I'm reading my thing. Oh, 1/4 cup of cider vinegar. Make sure it's 5% acidity on that. So that's for food preservation. Make sure for tools, you are going to need your chopstick for bubbling, your Headspace tool, a lid lifter. I will be heating the lids today. A jar lifter, I have 2, and your ladle, and a funnel also works well. We're going to be using a saucepan today. I have a very large saucepan for this. It just works better for me. And those are the ingredients that we need, so let's go ahead and get started. Now I have my onions. If you notice, they're pretty thin, and they're cut crosswise, which is kind of nice when you're doing a marmalade, so you don't have super long strips of onion, but you have kind of shorter ones. So we're going to go ahead and put in the onions. It measures out 1.5 cups. We're doing the dried cranberries. I processed those very well, and the brown sugar, and the and the vinegar. Okay, and we're gonna get these. We're gonna saute these until the onion gets transparent. Okay. So the onions have become translucent. We're gonna transfer it to a large saucepan. And now we're adding the 3 cups of apple juice, the unsweetened apple juice. The orange peel. This is 2 teaspoons of orange peel. And the pectin. Now I did mix some of the 1/4 cup of the sugar, pre-measured sugar, in with the pectin just so it won't stick. And then we go ahead and give it some stirs until we get it up to a good boil, and then we'll add the rest of the sugar. I now have a boil. And I've been stirring constantly, so make sure you stir constantly. I have a boil going. I'm going to go ahead and gradually add in the sugar until it's completely combined. And we're going to get this up to a rolling boil when we're done. I finished putting in all the sugar, and now we are waiting for it to come to a rolling boil, one that you can't stir away, and then we'll set the timer for 1 minute and boil it hard for that time. So we now got a rolling boil going that we can't stir away, so I've set the timer for 1 minute. So I've been warming the jars up in the canner here, and I'm working as fast as I can because it's starting to set. We're filling the jars to a 1/4 inch headspace, about like so. I am bubbling. We're gonna kind of smear this around the edge here. And I do know we need a little bit more than that. Up to a 1/4 inch. Clean the rim as best you can. I'm using a mixture of vinegar and water in that little dish there. I've heated up my lids. And I've got a ring that we're just gonna tighten finger tight. And the jar is hot potato, so be careful. And into the canner it goes. And repeat. Got all the jars in the canner here, and I've set it up to high. If you have a stovetop canner, you just crank the heat up to high until you come to a rolling boil, and then we'll process these half pint jars for 15 minutes. Got a rolling boil going, so I've set the timer for 15 minutes. The timer went off after 15 minutes, so I went ahead and cut the heat on the canner and let it set for 5 minutes before we take the lid off and take the jars out. Oh my goodness, that is really, really pretty. Got a great color to it. 4 have sealed. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4 have sealed. These 2 have not yet. They still have the little bit of a bubble, but just because the jars have sealed doesn't mean they're finished. You still have to let them cool for 12 hours before you can take the rings off, 12 to 24. As these are half pints, 12 hours is fine. 5. 12 hours is fine. If they're quarts, I definitely recommend at least 12 hours, if not longer, because they just contain the heat for so much longer. So that is red onion marmalade, and it's actually very, very tasty. I forgot to sample in front of you, but that's also can be kind of rude. But it does have a sweetness to it, but it still has that red onion flavor. It would be fantastic on like a sandwich, and it's a condiment basically in lieu of maybe a ketchup or a barbecue sauce or something. It's going to give it a bit of a different flavor. All have sealed, so that's 6. So anyway, it was great canning with you today. I enjoyed myself as usual. If you have any questions, comments, suggestions, by all means reach out to me. I'm on Facebook at Stacey CAN CAN. You can at me on Instagram and TikTok at Stacey CAN CAN. My website is www.staceycancan.com, and my email is info@staceycancan.com. Thanks again for joining me, and until next time, happy canning.